Hi there, my name is Isabel and I'm a third-year chemical engineering major at UCLA. Usually I would be giving you a tour of campus in person, but because of the safer at home laws in California, instead we're going to try a virtual tour that I'm filming from my apartment. I'm going to go through and show you some pictures of stops on our usual tour and just exciting things that happen at UCLA. All right, enough chit chat, let's start our tour. I'm so excited to be the first person to welcome you to the Samueli School of Engineering. We have 11 different engineering majors, and I think chemical engineering is the best major, but I'm a little bit biased because that's my major. We have about 6,000 students, and 4,000 of those are undergraduates, so you'd be in good company. And last year we actually had our highest ever percentage of female admits to the School of Engineering, around 30%, so go team. We also have 190 full-time faculty members, tons of research labs, tons and tons of clubs, and lots more exciting things. So some of you may know that UCLA is the birthplace of the internet. So for our first stop, I'll be taking you to 3420 Boulter Hall. The room in which the internet was created has actually been preserved exactly how it looked in 1969 when the first message was sent from UCLA to Stanford. It's just incredible. Everything looks exactly the same as it did. Here are a couple of pictures that you can see of Professor Leonard Kleinrock, the father of the internet. The big silver box next to him is an IMP, an interface message processor, and you could compare it to what would now be like a router. I've met Professor Kleinrock a couple of times. He is the reason we're able to have this virtual tour right now, and he is still around and a part of a community that I'm also a part of. So a really amazing thing about UCLA Engineering is you're connected to this incredible history of amazing discoveries and amazing researchers. The next stop on our tour is the Student Creativity Center, which is the heart of student clubs and student organizations for Samueli Engineering. Every single major in UCLA Engineering has at least one club associated with it. And that club is there first and foremost as a community of students within the major, but also to give you access to competitions, different projects, industry leaders, and just a bunch of other aspects that are a part of engineering aside from just learning from professors. And you can also join clubs that are outside of your major, so you don't have to be a mechanical engineer to join a club that's primarily for mechanical engineers. If you're interested, it doesn't matter what major you are, you can join. The great thing about these clubs is not only that you get experience in looking for jobs, in taking part in projects, but you really access this even smaller, even tighter-knit community within your major of upperclassmen who can give you advice when picking your classes, who can give you input on how to learn best from different professors. But there are also, of course, clubs outside of engineering that are for the entire student body. For example, I am in the ski and snowboard club. I do like to ski, and yes, you can ski near LA. That was just something I was interested in, and I joined that club. I was from out of state, so I didn't really know anybody here at all. Not a single person from my high school went to UCLA. And yet I made this amazing group of friends, and all of my roommates now are from that club. So even though we have so many incredible clubs and organizations here on campus, you might find that whatever you're interested in isn't represented yet. And the nice thing is that means you can start your own club, which I did. So I'm really interested in sustainable fashion. And when I got to UCLA, there are a bunch of sustainability organizations and some fashion clubs, but nothing that combined the two. So I started, along with my friend Grace, Unravel at UCLA, which is a fashion sustainability club that focuses on accessibility of sustainable fashion. And I found like 400 other people on campus that are also super passionate about the same thing. We've done different projects and different clothing swaps, and that didn't exist before I got here. So if you're excited about something, somebody else here will be excited about the same thing and will be happy and delighted that you've started a club. The next stop on our tour is the Makerspace, downstairs in Boulter Hall, which is our main engineering building. It's a giant 9,000 square foot space filled with tons of tools and materials to use to make any project you can think of. There are like 25 3D printers, there's a laser cutter, there are like Arduinos, there are just tons and tons and tons of resources for you to make any project you can think of. And whether it's for a club or for a class or just because you're excited about it, it doesn't matter. All of the resources are completely free and you can use them to your heart's desire. My personal favorite piece of equipment is the sewing machine. They have thread of all different colors. The next stop on our tour is C's Cafe. C's Cafe is a little cafe that's inside Boulter Hall. It sort of like looks out onto our courtyard, and it's completely student run, and all of the proceeds from the cafe go back to the students. My favorite part about it is that it's tucked inside of Boulter, so it's almost like a little secret lounge that's just for engineering students because only engineering students know about it. And another nice thing about it is that they have super cheap coffee. If you bring your own cup, it's only 75 cents, which is a lifesaver during finals. They have helped me on many a sleepy morning. So at this point, you might have noticed that everything we've talked about has been outside of class. So let's talk about lectures. This first one is actually where I had my first ever chemical engineering lecture in my second year. This style of class will happen usually 3 times a week for about an hour, and then you'll also have discussions once a week with a TA and a smaller group of kids. The professors will teach to a class of usually anywhere between like 150 and like 200 students, at least for those like general education classes. And then discussion is a much smaller group, like 20 to 30 people. It's just like a little bit more of a comfortable atmosphere to ask questions that you maybe didn't think of in lecture. It's a great way to learn the same material in a different style if your TA maybe has a different teaching style than your professor. I know I've had some TAs that I've learned from better than my professor just because of our teaching style, their teaching style matching my learning style. So it's a great way to just like get the information from a different perspective. It's also a fantastic place to find other classmates to form study groups with and just get more support and information in a little bit more of like a comfortable setting. Here's a picture of our nicest, newest lecture hall, which is Mong. Mong hosts a lot of conferences, so researchers and speakers from all over the country and sometimes all over the world will come and give presentations and give lectures in Mong. But when that kind of event isn't happening, it's just normal lecture hall. Now you might be looking at all of these lecture halls and thinking, that is a ton of people, Isabel. What are you thinking? I'm never going to be able to ask a question in there. Don't worry. I also looked at a couple of these lecture halls the first time and was like, there's so many people in here. How is the professor ever going to remember my name? How am I going to be able to get support if I need it? If I go to office hours, there are going to be tons of people there. That's not the case. So every professor and every TA have office hours, which means that once or twice a week, they'll have time set aside where you can talk to them one-on-one in their office. Sometimes nobody else shows up, so it's just you chatting with like a world-class professor for an hour or two. And I've had some incredible conversations with some of my professors. You'll have much more of a personal connection than you think you could in a class of this size. On top of that, when you show up here, you will be paired with one professor from your department who meets with you at least once a year just to check in. And they can help you with anything from like academic struggles with like learning material, to finding a research position, finding a job, landing an internship. Another great mentorship program that we have is Mentor C's, where every first year engineering student is paired with a current student, an upperclassman. So that means they're not a professor, they're just another student. And that's kind of nice sometimes to have someone to talk to that isn't a professor and probably has dealt with the same things you're dealing. So that way, if you have any issues that are maybe not something you want to bring up to a professor, you definitely will have someone there who can help you out and just give you a little boost. Let's talk about research. UCLA is a research-based university. We get about $1 billion in research funding every year. And yes, I said billion with a B. One of the reasons why I decided to come to UCLA is because I started reading more newspapers my senior year of high school, and it felt like every other article was quoting research from UCLA, and I was like, I want a bite of that. I want in. This is where I want to go. UCLA is not only great for research in general, they're also fantastic at giving research opportunities to undergraduates who want to get involved. They're excited to have undergraduates in their lab. You're not just there to wash lab equipment, you're there doing great work. And I have a couple of friends who are also third years or even second years who've already been published because they were able to get in on such great opportunities. A couple of ways that you can join a lab: talk to your professors, go to their office hours, send them emails, ask them what their research is, talk to your mentors, talk to people in the clubs that you've joined. How did they get into research? What did they do? And honestly, even if a professor that you reach out to doesn't need or doesn't have space for an undergraduate in their lab, they're usually the first ones to say, oh, I know so-and-so needs somebody, and send you to somebody who can take you in and have you join their lab. So if you want to do research, it's very, very likely that you'll be able to get into a research lab. Not just one department is amazing, every department is on the forefront of research in their field. I decided to do my research with a professor from the Anderson School of Management, which is UCLA's management school. So not engineering, but I was able to work with a professor from this world-renowned management school and go out on my own and do an individual research project on a topic I was super excited about, sustainable fashion. And I was analyzing the supply chain for different textiles. And even though it wasn't engineering related, I started seeing topics pop up in my research for this project that I'd come across in classes, stuff like life cycle analyses. People are so excited and proud to have cross-disciplinary research, to have thinkers who think outside the box. It was a little bit something different. It was a little bit non-traditional, and I was supported by all of our counselors and was able to work my class schedule around my research. Even though it wasn't engineering, it was still celebrated by the School of Engineering. So I think that was really fantastic. That was just a great feeling. Our final stop is the Engineering Resource Center and the Academic Advising Office. The Engineering Resource Center provides support for transfer students. They offer counseling. They offer tons and tons of career services. I went in last year before the career fair, and I didn't have very much technical engineering experience, and they were able to go through my resume and look at all of my work history from high school, history doing clubs at UCLA, and pick out what about those experiences gave me valuable skills for an engineering job. And now I've already had a couple of interviews for a few engineering companies, so keep your fingers crossed for me. That was so helpful and gave me so much confidence walking into the career fair, knowing I'd had a professional look over my resume and dub me a good candidate for engineering. Right next to the Career Center is OASA, which is our counseling office for the School of Engineering. They're also the office that created this program, the Ambassador Program. We're the tour guides for the School of Engineering, and just a really fun bunch. So you'll probably see us around giving tours or doing Zoom tours, or you can reach out to us on Instagram as well, and we can give you some info. The Counseling Center is mostly there for any issue that you might have. This is where you go for help. I actually didn't start out as a chemical engineer. I started out as a chemistry major, and then as I progressed in my classes my freshman year, I realized I didn't really want to go into research long term. So I went to go talk to the counselors in the Engineering Counseling Center. Even though I wasn't an engineering student, even though I was just some random kid from another UCLA school, they were so welcoming and so helpful and made 2 entire 4-year plans for me for 2 possible majors I was considering, and gave me advice on how to apply, how to plan my class schedule to make sure that I could switch majors, and were just so helpful and so knowledgeable. Every department, every engineering major will have a counselor specifically trained in your major and giving advice for your major. Every single student in the School of Engineering gets one-on-one counseling. And you can either schedule an appointment or go to one of the drop-in counseling sessions. Right now, since we're all social distancing, they are available virtually, and you can make appointments online to talk to counselors over Zoom, and that way you can still get some support from a far. That pretty much concludes our tour. I think I'm just so lucky to have found this incredible group of people who see that I'm kind of odd or that I have a specific range of interests and don't just accept that, but celebrate it. Picking a college can be fun, I promise. It doesn't have to be scary. We hope you end up here, but wherever you end up, I hope you and your family stay healthy and go Bruins. Bye.